Okay, so we are finally into the 18th century of British literature. This is your introduction onto 18th century, and we are just going to take a little bit of a look at culture and then kind of take a look at the effects on literature and basically just breaking down the Restoration period and essentially just a couple different aspects of this period. Charles the First, his ruling, the time um, he ruled from 1625 to 1642, and this is a big time of conflict in England, religiously and politically. In fact, these two kinds of things were very intertwined. It's not something new we've seen really. A lot of the things we looked at in this class, we've got two primary groups that are conflicting. We have the Royalists. Essentially, no, you can kind of tell from the name. Royalists are people who support the idea of the crown. They support Charles. They like the idea of having a king. They are in conflict with the Puritans who want to purify the church from Catholic influence. So this is a time when we had Anglican church, but the Anglican church essentially is a kind of Catholicism or light of Catholicism without the Pope. So they do not like the way that we saw many things wrong. We saw this when we looked at English Bibles and Protestantism. Um, and they saw it kind of as like a corruption of money, worship of images, things like that. Um, so different type of uh, way of viewing things. This time period is the royalists are opposed by parliamentarians. So essentially, these Protestants, particularly Presbyterians, I don't know how far into church history you've gotten with your theology classes. I don't know, but we'll kind of talk about it a little bit in our class. The way the Presbyterian Church is organized is they see their leadership coming from a kind of board of elders. That's where the word Presbyterian actually means elder. So, very different kind of mindset. Essentially, it's like, let's use this wisdom of people with a lot of experience, kind of working collectively, as an opposed to our traditional royal model, which says that we have a king that is chosen by God, so very different views and how things should be run. Um, yeah, that's how that goes. Now, in 1649, we come to the end of the English Civil War. This is all called the regicide. And at this time, people are not happy with Charles the First, and the way the people who were essentially the parliamentarians were not happy with the way Charles was ruling. They called him a murderer, a traitor, public enemy. So they cut off his head. And you can see a picture here. They decapitated him. So essentially, what happens is his son, Charles II, flees to Netherlands just to kind of lay low for a bit. He flees over to Europe and he spends his time there in the Netherlands lying low. But in the meantime, we get to see something we call the Regina. So essentially, between two kings, a short period in English history dating from 1649 to 1616. Interregnum. Interregnum is a period between two kings. Now, this is really, really interesting in British history because this is the only time when we have a non royal ruling. So, Oliver Cromwell, this is the period between Charles the First and as Charles the First gets decapitated, Oliver Cromwell, he was a military leader in the English Civil War. He was a Puritan, so he's very much into this, very strict, very moral Christianity. I'm gonna have to make a part two. That sounds very TikTok of me. I'm gonna have to make a part two. Um, okay, so just hold off for my second, and yeah, okay. Anyways, I'll be back.